Welcome to CoBB, Conversations on the Business of Brands with Sudeep Chawla and Sharavana Raghavan.
Sudeep, those who watch watch would know that you often wear the India cricket jersey on the show.
Yeah, I sometimes do that. I'm a proud Indian cricket fan, and therefore
Does
I
that
take pride in wearing it.
does that mean you're following the BGT
Of
going on
course I
right
am.
now?
Yeah, of course I am. It has become one of the more iconic series to follow, with so
Hmm.
many plots and subplots in there. It's quite a series. However, let us also clarify for those who will be listening to this. By the time they listen to this, the BGT might be over, and they might be thinking, why are these two guys saying BGT that is still going on? For the record, we are recording this episode on 15th December, and we are just recovering from the aftermath of another blazing 150 by Travis Head.
Let's talk about the good things.
Huh.
Let's talk about the first test, which
Huh.
we won thumpingly, and full thanks, half thanks to Yashasvi Jaiswal.
Yeah, I think brilliant player. What stood out was the fact that whenever he goes on to score some runs, more often than not, he converts it into large centuries.
Oh yeah, very much so. And did you see his post-match interviews?
No, I haven't got that.
So he said that while he scored the runs, KL Rahul actually helped him stay grounded and calm and guided him through his innings. And he kept at it so that Yashasvi could cross the milestone. And
Hmm, hmm,
it
hmm.
wasn't just his technical ability. The fact that KL was guiding him through it is what mattered to him.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting one. In fact, we have heard many such stories where partners thrive because of each other's presence.
In fact, if the follow up one in the press
Hmm.
conference somewhere, they
Hmm.
asked KL Rahul about this.
Okay.
And KL Rahul said there's nothing original about what he did. And
Hmm.
that when he was new in the team, Murli Vijay gave him the same advice to get him through his tough phases.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
almost like getting guidance from your senior and not necessarily the captain or the coach, but being guided by the person who's there in the trenches with you. It's a kind of mentorship.
Correct. I think it plays out in various aspects of life, that more than just the coaches and the trainers, etc., there you look towards your seniors to get guided on various aspects of sports and life, right?
Absolutely.
And I think it's an interesting dynamic that plays out in almost every aspect of life.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. But the whole point of this conversation is that this reminded me of a similar dynamic in marketing.
Ah.
But unlike in cricket, this marketing chain is breaking down in marketing teams. This chain
Mm-hmm.
of mentors and people learning from them and coming up. I see a gap coming up. So even on the CoBB, we speak so much about marketing visionaries and leaders and companies, and we speak about entry level people and people who are just starting off their career.
Mm-hmm.
We never really speak about the middle managers. Yet, when we cite examples of the seniors that we looked up to, seniors that we worked with, what we learned directly from them. And that is the point I'm trying to make. These middle management, right? The people who are our immediate bosses, they are the ones who work with us day in and day out.
You're right. I think a lot of the learning accrues to us because of this certain set of gentlemen who work directly with marketers when they are in the trenches.
Yes, but this middle management, as you would call them, when you're starting out, they are the middle managers, right? That breed is fast disappearing.
Okay.
And that is what I want to talk about today.
Interesting. Okay. So more than the middle management, I like the word boss level people.
Let's call them the link leaders. They link the top management and the junior management.
Okay. Link leaders, the way you prefer it. So I think, okay. So let's divide today's conversation into two parts.
Okay.
First, I want to understand a little bit more from you
Hmm.
on the importance of these link leaders. Why do you think they're important? Why should we even dedicate an episode to them?
Okay.
And second part is stemming from your concern. Where is it coming from? Why do you think they're disappearing, as you call them?
Hmm.
And if they're disappearing, who is who and what is taking their place, etc. And maybe towards the end, you can also tell us. Therefore, what should people be doing?
Okay, so I'll take the first question first, right? Why are they important? Why is the middle management in marketing important, right? Now, they do a whole lot of things, but I'll call out three things specifically. One is they translate strategy into execution.
Mm-hmm.
We'll
Yeah.
have a lot of CMOs and the boards sometimes creating the strategy or just creating the vision. A lot of the times, the middle management is the one actually is proposing the strategy, and the senior just sign off on the strategy and the vision. But bringing the strategy to fruition is completely the middle management's responsibility. They are the ones who bring it to life. They
Sure.
figure out the how, they allocate resources, they prioritize different initiatives, and they guide the team. And that is their second job, where they mentor the next generation of marketers within the system.
Mm-hmm.
They see the juniors when they come in with enthusiasm, right? They teach them how to think, analyze, execute, passing down their wisdom basically. And they're the ones training them in the hardcore grunt work of marketing, so to say.
So the
And
entire ambit of mentoring.
absolutely, they are the mentors. And the third is they provide continuity,
Huh.
because when they move on, move upwards or sideways, when they move, what they have mentored within their team is what continues. And that is how an organization's marketing culture is set. And that is, you will see this across all organizations that have built long term thriving brands,
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Fair. So understood. So you're saying link leaders have these three functions.
right?
Now, therefore, largely, even when they're translating strategy into action, these guys are more mentors, is
Absolutely.
what you're saying.
They're not necessarily gurus, but they're mentors. But let me add another layer here, right?
Uh-huh.
So, marketing isn't science where you can basically follow formulae and get the same results over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Nor is it, say, art where one is gifted and that God given talent will get them to succeed. I think even when Narayan was on the show, he mentioned this, that marketing is a craft. It is learned through practice. You don't need any qualification to become a marketer, but
Mm-hmm.
you need to have experience. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. And it is learned through trial and error. And
Mm-hmm.
when you have the mentors, this cycle just becomes faster.
Okay. So therefore, therefore you yourself, I think you're contradicting yourself here. Let me be the devil's advocate.
Okay.
Uh, you're saying having a mentor fastens the cycle,
Mhm.
but largely it is about trial and error. And hence, if the people with raw enthusiasm, the young marketeers with raw enthusiasm, try and fail,
Mhm.
they should be able to learn and hence maybe not require the link leaders as you call them.
Fair enough. See, trial and error can be in any direction,
Mm-hmm.
but trial and error is essential. Just that the mentor gives you the direction to try and fail in. It is like, instead of just going in any direction and failing,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Your mentor has gone through a certain process. So they keep pushing you in the right direction instead of spoon feeding you. And that's when you become better. It's like saying, I'm going to become a carpenter. And if you've seen a chair, over time, you will figure out how to make a chair. It's
Mm.
not, it's not rocket science. But just that instead of making 2000 chairs, trying to make 2000 chairs and then getting it right, you'll probably get it right after this 2 or 3 chairs if you guide it well. That is all.
And you also had a personal experience of similar kind?
I have, not necessarily in marketing, just before marketing, where this boss was whatever I told him, even the most, because he knows my business, he's seen my business. But in a forum or somewhere, whenever I suggested something, he would just say, why? He would make it so uncomfortable for me that I thought he was just out to get me, because it was just so obvious what he was saying. But over time, I realized that he was pushing me to think and articulate my thoughts such that what seemed so commonsensical and obvious to me also seemed common sense and obvious to everybody else in the room.
Mm.
He's pushing me to articulate my thoughts. The softer skill of getting the room's attention, convincing them, is what he was actually pushing me for.
Mm.
That's
Mm.
something I learned over time. And I was really angry at first.
Fair. Fair. Makes sense. And I think a lot of the uh, people who are listening to this podcast would
Hmm.
possibly resonate. They might
Yeah,
have had one or the other experience of similar kind. One
absolutely.
of the thoughts that come to my head, Sharan, is that while it is good that you had a manager to mentor you,
Hmm.
the one flip side that I see is too often they might curb originality, innovation, etc., by trying to impose a certain way of thinking on new marketeers, and thereby, in the effort to make it more efficient,
Hmm.
they might actually try to uniformize it beyond what is possibly necessary.
Very true. Very true. Because it's not just that, right? So if you have an insecure middle manager, their insecurities will reflect in the way you work also. Because if that's the first boss you have in marketing, it becomes very difficult to change something. So the bad ones, yes, they do stifle your thinking. The good ones actually inspire thinking. So I had this boss in marketing where I was very impressionable in marketing. And he took a very transactional approach to working with stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't really me because I come from sales where I'd built long-term relationship in sales. But marketing was I was being extremely transactional with my especially with my agency folks. And when I saw around me, all my peers had such fantastic relationships with their agency partners.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it actually took a conscious call for me to kind of take a pause, go talk to my other seniors in the company and say, okay, I don't have to follow in the footsteps of my boss directly, but
Mm.
can leverage my personality or just be myself and build relationship with agencies. So I think that was a point that people can take because it's not just your, not like I said, it's the boss level people. It's not just your boss. There are more people in the system that must be there to help you.
And you're saying that you don't need to blindly follow. You must filter it out and see what is it that you must get guided on. What is it that you don't need to copy and develop your own style?
Absolutely.
What works for them might not work for you. Now, you started off by with an alarming statement saying that there is an erosion.
Hmm.
Uh, so what is it? They are being hunted by aliens or what?
Kind of aliens like Zuckerberg and Sundar Pichai.
Okay.
So, so we go back to performance obsession, right? So for the longest time, marketing could not be measured immediately. And these performance marketing platforms say you can measure marketing immediately, and therefore the performance orientation comes, performance marketing orientation. So when leaders are visionaries at the top, this performance marketing execution is done by the junior folks. So in this scheme, when this is your only priority in business, there's no role for the middle management to do because they don't know, they're not going to be running performance ads anyway.
Hmm.
Then why do you need them? It's
Hmm.
come down to that kind of a simplistic thinking in a lot of organizations. Second, some even justify it as being lean, saying we have flattened hierarchies where they
Yeah.
have no middle management,
Yeah.
but they are flat with nothing holding them together. The leadership is in one tangent and the juniors are another completely different tangent. Third is actually where the roles are getting narrower. You have chief digital officer, chief innovation officer, and having such silos where again there is not real room left for the middle management to do because it's such a fragmented setup.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay. I think for all the three cases, uh, I agree with your observation.
Hmm.
However, have a point of view.
Hmm.
Uh, so thankfully, there is growing realization also, and I think we have covered this in our podcast in the past, that pure performance obsession is not taking anybody anywhere. Uh, and the second one, where we speak about flat hierarchies, again, I think for a very early stage, maybe it's fine. And what I've also seen, Sharan, I think rightfully so, let's give the startup world its due,
Hmm.
that I'm also seeing a number of times where the founders are trying to find complementary skills in co-founders. So quite often now I'm seeing, so there is somebody who is really good with operations, and then there is somebody who's really good with marketing, right? Sales and marketing. And then those people have really working level knowledge to not just set the big vision but also break it down into small digestible parts
Hmm.
that otherwise a middle manager was doing in that avatar. So I think again works when the company is too small,
Mhm.
but maybe it breaks down when it becomes too big.
No, if you look at, I don't completely agree, but I understand where this could go, because there was this article in the Ken about Nika having no CMO but fragmenting it into multiple different roles.
Yeah, it says dying breed of CMOs,
And
something
that
of
is the
that right.
article.
The idea may sound preposterous as of now because of how we have seen marketing, but maybe that's a sign of things to come, right?
Okay.
uh, Picture this, that you are in a business world now where you know you have various specialists. So there are specialists in performance marketing, specialists in content marketing,
Hmm.
specialists in revenue management, and specialists in product management, product
Hmm.
lifecycle management. Okay, three
Hmm.
four streams of marketing, kind of cut very neatly, and then all of them reporting into, say, the head of business. Yeah. So, or the CMO directly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now, that seems like a possibility for a company to function, with the only one caveat. Okay. The caveat is that the CMO has to be capable enough to look at the holistic picture, right? And if CMO has gone through the same cycle, and if they've not done all these three roles, four roles, or they don't have appreciation of these three, four roles, then there is a problem,
Exactly.
right? So
Exactly.
yeah, so I think I'm just hoping that in the best case, all of them work seamlessly with each other. The worst case scenario is each one is worried about their own P, and there's nobody who's holding the brand.
Absolutely. And I think that's the risk, right? So a CMO or a marketer is no better than a performance marketer of who could be an engineering student who passed out last year and has figured out how to operate the algorithm. And even the entire marketing agenda today has changed, right? Instead of having, say, 3, 5, 10-year agenda or campaigns of brands being run, you have campaigns that are run for a month, for a quarter at best,
Mm-hmm.
and you being evaluated by it. So I think the tenure has come down from 3 to 5 years for a CMO to, I think, about 18 months roughly right now. And this short-term thinking without a long-term brand building approach, it finally trickles down and it impacts the value placed on middle management and in marketing overall. Because if you're not valuing middle management, you end up not valuing marketing at all.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, fair. Now let's come back to where we started from, and we said that the purpose of link leaders
Hmm.
is much more downwards than upwards.
Right?
So
Absolutely.
therefore, with all of this happening, and in parts all of this is true,
Hmm.
what does this mean for the junior marketers, or the marketers who are just really entering the business world?
Like we said, they kind of work in different silos, right? So they learn fragments. Every company likes to hire the youngsters because they know the consumers even better. But why do they know the consumers even better? Because they are the consumers. It's like going and meeting consumers, asking them to make an ad or make
Mm,
a creative for the brand.
mm,
And from a consumer perspective, they will know what kind of triggers their friends, and they'll work with that. So that will create a bit of splash. But they were consumers, and now they're trying to talk to consumers. They have no sight to strategy. They have no sight to what the overall business plan is, what the marketing plan is. But they get into execution mode, and
mm,
when they're not exposed to it, they only see the final output, and they are given a false sense of learning, which they aren't actually getting. And when they come into leadership, again, there's going to be no marketing left because they're not trained in the holistic picture.
mm. So let me soften the blow a bit. I wouldn't say there is no learning. I would say that whatever specific area they're working in, whether it is performance marketing or content or product, etc., they're definitely getting good in-depth knowledge of that particular area for sure.
In the silo, in the narrow
And yeah,
domain.
so one fourth or one third of marketing or whatever, they lack the perspective of the other ones if they're not being mentored by the right kind of link leaders. Yeah. Okay. So therefore, fair. So would that mean that we are creating future leaders without necessarily deep expertise, and hence what would that lead to?
See, we are going to lose future leaders if this continues. Like without mentorship, the next generation is going to be left to create things for themselves, which is not going to be rooted in executional possibilities, realities. It's not not going to be grounded.
Mm-hmm.
What happens because of that is that the impact of marketing diminishes within the organization. Marketing
Okay.
itself becomes shallow. You're focused on the short term, and you're no longer building brands. And when you're not building brands, and you think you're building brands, you're building you're building shells of brands. They lack a soul, they lack personality, and there's no strategic thinking behind them. So it's that, and one, marketing loses relevance, and then you start justifying the loss of relevance from marketing that built cultures across countries. We end up saying we just buy product, we just support function after that.
Okay. I think nobody does this better than you, Sharan, painting doomsday with with an anticipated change. I think we need to now take a slightly more positive turn before the marketeers of tomorrow start becoming despondent. So tell me, what do we do to fix this? What us, all of us who are listening to this, who are either marketing leaders or link leaders, what must we do to fix this?
Higher virtual brand expertise. That's where we
Hmm.
come in.
Okay, the brand plugin is here.
We work with the leadership, chisel the vision,
Huh.
fill in for middle management,
Huh.
and enable the internal resources to follow through on the execution.
But I thought we were talking about the good of marketing fraternity, Sharan, not just about the good of Vitral.
See, on a serious note, I personally like me should be happy with the situation.
Huh?
Because this is why my need in the system comes in,
Mm-hmm.
right? But what happens is that when there is a void,
Mm-hmm.
something else fills the space,
Mm-hmm.
where you have friends and family coming in as substitute middle managers,
Mm-hmm.
and they are neither qualified nor capable of doing this role.
Mm-hmm.
But given that the system does not understand marketing per se, they are given it because they understand some jargon that is being used in the system.
Mm-hmm.
And they create further dissonance within the system, and they're worse than an empty chair. And for the in-house
Okay.
resources, for consultants, and for the organization, they can be extremely detrimental.
Okay. So fair. So that's one more danger that we have. But how must we fix? How must we fix this?
Fair enough. It's simple, right? So you got to reinvest in middle management, empower them by empowering the CMOs first, and rethink training. I have a lot of companies reaching out saying, can you run a 1 hour workshop for my team on how to review creatives or how to write a brief?
Hmm.
I'm like, I can do the workshop for you, but you're not going to become marketers or great marketers overnight by the 1 hour training that we do.
Sure.
You've got to be in the field. You've got to be guided through the work. It's only when you keep doing more of it will you get better at it. And when you keep doing more at it, you need to be guided through it, and you need middle management for it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And I think, like we were saying earlier, that if you're an organization that has just started, you're a lean one, you want people to specialize, work on specific aspects, specific mandates within marketing, by all means do that. But remember that they will need to be led by a leader who understands the marketing holistically. So beyond your CMO or whoever is holding that function, you might need to hire and train and give mandate to certain managers who can step in as the next CMOs, or you will forever be hiring from outside.
Absolutely.
Okay. And let me ask you a question that Gen Zs might ask us after we have posted this episode.
Mhm.
Why can't AI fix this? The training that you said, that how can we train people to evaluate creatives? Why can't we have an AI that can evaluate creatives? Why do we need to do that?
See, AI can enhance marketing, can enhance the middle management. It can't
Hmm.
replace it because AI lacks judgment to a great
Mm-hmm.
degree.
Mm-hmm.
It lacks creativity. It lacks empathy. And marketing, like Mr. Sudeep Chawla says, is all about hyper empathizing with your customer.
Mm.
That cannot be left to AI. It's about understanding people and trying to get to know them and finding ways to make their lives better through the means that you have, which is your brand and your business. That's not AI. That's you.
I agree. I would possibly finish it by saying what I think our late boss, Mr. Chandramouli, used to say.
Hmm?
He used to say that you can't drive a vehicle by just looking into the mirror. Yeah, you can't. You simply can't. You have to look ahead, and to look ahead, you need to have headlights. And marketing is the headlights of the organization. Unfortunately, AI only looks backward and creates trends basis that. But you need people, you need inspired marketers to look ahead and therefore pave the way such that AIs of the future can create an algorithm for that as well. But they'll only look backwards. So
Absolutely.
that hopefully should suffice for now.
Thank you for listening to CoBB, Conversations on the Business of Brands with Sudeep Chawla and Sharavana Raghavan. Subscribe and learn more at cobcast.net.